Let's find out if what's happening in Vietnam is likely to have any impact on global financial markets. And for that, I'm very pleased to welcome to the desk XM's Peter McGuire. Peter, good to see you again. Thank you for joining us. So do financial markets look through what's happening between North Korea and the U.S. right now because it is about denuclearization, or does it have ramifications beyond that?
I think it has ramifications beyond it, and I think reasoning is that as you see a centre push from President Trump, and if he can see and work through denuclearisation, that's going to be a feel-good moment, I think, all of Asia, and I feel as though the global economy will get a kick out of it. So I don't think it's going to be a negative. I think it's very much a positive. It's been a work in progress now, and he's been talking about it for 2 years, and let's see if something is done. So that's going to be a push, I think, for the upside, for general confidence, and I don't think it's a bad thing from an economic standpoint either.
OK, so do we look for a reaction potentially in currency markets?
I think
where would we look for the evidence?
Well, I think you're going to see US dollar index probably appreciate in value up from here. I think you possibly see a feel-good moment come towards as far as US equity, so that'll continue its updraft. And overall, I think it's just going to be a plus. I think you've got many other things happening as well. So we could see a sequential number of phases. You could see the China-US story get some green lights as far as the trade, and then moving next month into the Brexit issue. So it could be very much a feel-good moment for the next 2 to 3 months.
So potentially adding to positivity, already being inspired by the talks between the US and China. On oil, though, it's interesting to note that Donald Trump and his tweets do have a lot of sway, and we all pay attention to them.
Absolutely.
One group that's not really paying attention to a recent tweet is OPEC, because he had Trump tweeting, pushing back on prices, and oil still edging up. OPEC appears to be looking through that pressure coming for now.
Well, it does, but it's had a very strong uptick. When you're thinking of what we experienced in Christmas, there was that dramatic sell-off, and then everything has had a big run-up since January 1. China market up massively, US equities up, and, of course, the oil market up. So I think that feel-good is going to continue to the upside for probably a couple more dollars. I wouldn't be surprised to take that high 50s number for a WTI and probably edge very close to, say, 67, 68 for Brent in the short to medium term. There's a meeting in Baku, Azerbaijan in a couple of weeks' time. I'm actually heading over to it, and it's for the JMMC meeting between Saudis and Russia and the OPEC, number of those particular producers, and they're very much centred on where they see oil prices. So they want a higher number from here, and we're going to see what happens with the president being the largest producer in the world now, the US.
Certainly so. All right. I would like your frequent flyer points, by the way, Peter. Getting back to what we're here to discuss, though, is I guess what's going to be pushing around currencies in the coming weeks. And if we talk about weeks, we're talking Brexit. I mean, we saw that 21-month high for sterling on the potential for some sort of a Brexit delay.
Of course.
I mean, these are massive headlines coming out about Brexit right now, but there is still so much in the air.
Well, there is, and you've got to think, if you just lay over the UK pound, it's up about 6% in the matter of the last probably 5 to 6 trading weeks. So it's been very, very solid. US dollar index has held fairly steady in that time, fairly range-bound, but that UK pound has really seen some momentum. It's at 133.5. It's probably got the potential to take a 136 out if that momentum keeps up. Many traders are suggesting that it will, and the reasoning is what happens as far as Brexit. Is Corbin going to be right? Is May going to get it over the line? It'll be probably run down to the wire, and it's not uncommon. 29th of March is the headline number, and we'll just see what happens between now and then.
Well, yeah, it's hard to sort of really come up with different scenarios, but we do know that the Bank of England has said that it is likely to help the economy after a no-Brexit deal, if there is a no-Brexit, or no-deal Brexit, I should say.
Which is stronger for the pound.
Yeah, so how high do you think it could go?
Well, it's at 133.5, as I said. I think it's at 136 number has got the capacity. It was at 126 only a matter of about 5 to 6 weeks ago, so it's had a fairly strong move to the upside, and we feel as though that momentum will continue. So traders are enjoying the run-up. It's not as buoyant as what we've seen as far as the Chinese market this month, up 14%, but the UK pound's had a great run.
What do you make, Peter? I mean, you sound pretty optimistic, talking about an updraft for equities. It feels as if December is just a really long time away now. I mean, do you think that this optimism is misplaced? Well,
all I know is this, that if you were short and you were trading down from, say, September, October last year, US equities, you would have absolutely been an incredible 3 months to be short. Then the market realised that from really Christmas, It had a big turnaround since then. Everyone's long, and it's been an incredible run-up. So don't stand in the way of a freight train, and at the moment there seems to be more upside than downside. It's had an almighty recovery, and we're nearly at the point now of taking out record numbers as far as Dow and S&P. So, like it or not, the momentum's there, and it may continue. If you get these three things over the line, China trade, President Trump and what happens with North Korea, and a positive move coming out of Brexit, I think there's probably further, another 4 or 5% in the short run.
But I guess the other thing that we should be cognizant of when we're talking about the market is the sway that we've seen that the U.S. Fed has taken, the route that it's taken. We did hear from Powell overnight. We'll hear from him again
tonight. Saw it on Fox this morning.
Yeah, which would have been here
on
Your Money.
Certainly was.
So we've got Powell backing that patient stance. But we are hearing more about the U.S. economy, and I think the word that he used was cross-currents.
Sure.
So clearly a new word being sort of used in relation to the U.S. economy.
There's so many mixed meanings, and not mixed meanings, mixed processes coming into the melting pot. You've got equities, you've got where are the bond rates, what's happening as far as unemployment, general economy, euro slowdowns, all of that, and that's where the Fed's taking a very centred approach. The neutral stance, and now to the point, do we see one rate rise this year? It's going to be many months, I think, until you get any sort of action from the Fed.
But do you feel that the Fed has the markets back? The Fed is back in the game?
I think so. I think, like it or not, the US economy is doing relatively well. It's doing incredibly well. Wish we were doing similar here. So it's a very, very solid move. You can't argue with a number that's being demonstrated from the market at the moment. It's incredibly strong, and it seems to be very buoyant.
We will see. We'll see what he says at this hearing tonight. Peter McGuire, thank you as always. Appreciate your insights.
Thank you, Nadine.